when we think about free will, we need to upgrade our question. And what I mean by that is that whenever we ask about free will, we think we want free will. We think we want individual choice. Let me paint a picture for you. Let's just say, for example, and we'll get to the free will we do have in a minute, which is 10 times better than this. But let's just say, for example, that you had individual free will amongst an infinite universe where everybody else also had their own individual free will. You would be screwed. You would be screwed so bad if you had your own individual free will as a finite entity that made its own absolute choices. You'd be absolutely screwed. The things you would do to cause absolute chaos would be unspeakable. You would cause so much horrible stuff for the entire world. You would screw up everything for everyone. You would be the abomination to existence just by being your ignorant self making these individual choices. And I sound like I'm being harsh, but honestly, put this into perspective for a minute. If you had an individual choice as your own individual who has been conditioned by your parents, by the world, by brainwashing, by all these different things to make you do things that are completely, most of the time, in a direction away from God, there would be complete chaos in the universe. There would be no harmony. It would be absolutely, it would just be a world of nonsense, you see? And the reason for that is because the free will we actually have is way better than having this simple free will that we think we want. And the problem is that we also believe that we want choices. We think that we want a choice. Now, when we think of choices, we have to look at it on the grander scale of things, because there's a lot of things we choose that allow us to not have to make any more decisions. For example, if we have a wife, we choose to marry someone, we choose to have kids with them. That's one decision that creates a load of other things that we have no choice over. We have no choice over the children we have. We have no choice over who they marry. We have no choice over who their kids are. We have no choice over what they do. You see, we have, but it is something that directly affects our life because we're their parent, right? So there's a lot of things that we can choose to do that then have a load of consequences which we don't choose. So what we need to look at is choice on an ultimate level. What is the choice that we do have as an individual, and how can we maximize that? Well, the choice that we do have as an individual is to surrender our individuality to universality. And we need to see that every single decision that's actually made is coming from one place. But it doesn't mean that that one place that all decisions are coming from is like impersonal. These aren't impersonal decisions. They're very personal decisions. One infinite being is making all the choices through the individual. So that means that the individual has a free choice, but it's a universal decision. You see? So every decision we make, it's as an individual with the intel of the universal. If we had to make our own decisions without the intel of the universal, we'd all be making chaos. We'd be screwed. So we don't want, it is individual free will that comes from a universal decision. And the universal intel is what's creating individual choice. Now, when we say that, we then have to look at choice on another level. Okay, choice is not something that is really selected out of a number of options. There's two versions of it. There's two levels of it. There's one choice, which is the infinite choice, which is essentially the choice to be choiceless. Then there are individual choices that we have to make, like, do I want tea or coffee? Do I want this or that? And these are choices that are on the relative level. They are relative choices. They are choices that are almost like it's like an illusory freedom. Because, I mean, yeah, I get the choice over tea or coffee. Why don't I get the choice out of every single possible drink? It's like, it's still a relative freedom, you see? It's not an ultimate choice of freedom. But the real freedom is to realize that every single thing we do is coming out of pure infinite creativity. It's all infinite creativity. It's the whole entire existence is infinite creativity. We think that existence started in the past, grew over a long period of time, and now we're here today and we'll be moving into the future. That's not how existence works. Existence is spontaneously being created at every single given moment. It's pure magic. The now is a continuous burning flame that is being created and destroyed every single moment, and we just don't notice it because it's at a very quick frame rate. But we are quite literally creating infinite decisions every single moment, no matter what we're doing. It's better than free will, because free will implies that there has to be a predetermined amount of options to choose from. Here's the options that I've pre-selected. I have the choice to choose which one. But pure infinite creativity, it has no choice because it's the source of where things come from. So being the source of where things come from, there's no choice in that. However, it has infinite intelligence. So it can simply create what it wants without it having to be created. Then it can create it, and it happens in an instant. So for example, we don't just want to create everything that comes into our mind because like we said at the start, that would be chaos. So we want to have the ability to experience potential and instantly, in the knowing of the potential, understand the implications on the world, then create it. We are doing this with everything we say. When I'm speaking right now, I'm articulate with how I speak. Hopefully people understand me. If I wasn't speaking from pure creativity, which we all do whenever we talk to our friends and family and blah, 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 nothing would come out. Nothing would make sense. I'd have to spend way too long thinking, is this the right thing to say? Do I say that? Does this sound better? We're not doing that, but we're doing it on an absolute level, which is instantaneous. It's pure creativity. It's absolute. So it's better than free will. Free will is limited. Free will, we have to have a pre-select a lot of options to choose from. But what our nature is absolute 150% freedom. If we had that on our eggs, that's what we'd be buying, you see? Absolute 100% freedom. Absolute pure creativity. It's better than free will. That's where we live from. And then anything that comes from that is the afterglow of freedom. It's the aftershock of that freedom, you see? But the real freedom, the real place to be is to know that what we essentially are is the absolute source of creation that is spontaneously, intelligently, not just randomly, not just like creating random shit that comes out of nowhere and then just seeing what happens. It's intelligently created everything. The system, the complexity, the entire structure, whatever we can possibly see is infinitely created spontaneously in the moment to perfection. That's the universe we live in. So the question of free will is redundant. We are pure infinite creativity. It's way better than free will. And that means we can be in harmony with the whole while having an individual sense of free will and choice. Could you think of a better option? I can't. I have a free community where I share these meditations, things like this every single week. I'd love to see you there, guys. Have a beautiful day. Take care. Links in the description.